Hello, 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 everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to see if we are streaming. It still says streamer is offline. Still says D live streamer is offline. Comment. We're getting the comments through. We're testing out some new places to distribute our show. Unfortunately, D Live is not working. So be it. Let's see if our kick is working. I think our kick is working. Go to our channel. Live. We are live. That's good. What about Twitch? Twitch.com. That's good. I believe this is streaming. It is. Twitch test comment from our new channel. There we go. Kick test comment from our new TNAM channel. These are working, but D Live is not. All right, so be it. Let's get into today's program. Thanks for joining us. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere in between two formerly tariffed nations. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Saturday, April 5, 2025, and this is the TNAM AM Show here on the new American media. Raise the flag, my friends. Raise the flag. We are the new American media because the old American media has failed you, and you know that. You know that they've been lying to you about almost everything important. And some little white lies, it doesn't matter. Some of these little things, it doesn't matter. But when you're robbing us blind, when hundreds of thousands of people are dying in senseless wars, yeah, we got to get involved, damn it. We don't want to be involved. We're asking for some stewards and some oversight and some integrity and honesty. What have we had out of the annals of government? The annals. This is where Kenneth would make a nice joke about what we're really getting out of Congress. Thanks, Kenneth. We'll bring him in. Kenneth is one of our regulars here. If you want to be a regular, show up and follow our show. Consider me your bartender, as I've been many years of my life in many various fine establishments. But the places you will find the new American media are such as scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Search the new American media on Instagram, Facebook. We have pages. Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, D Live, and YouTube by searching the new American media. Find us in all those places. On Signal and Telegram, we're TNAM and TNAM Chat. TNAM and TNAM Chat. On X, we're at American_media_. And you can get our TNAM AM show combination with the Agree to Disagree show by searching the Agree to Disagree show. Get the podcast, the Agree to Disagree show, on Spotify and Apple. And of course, for anybody who would like to contribute to the new American media, because we're nothing without you, and we need to get some more sponsors, obviously. But we sort of rely on the generosity of y'all out there. But the ways to contribute, we've had more people sign up on Patreon. That's been pretty nice to see. And the cool thing about Patreon is that it settles in like, okay, now we can sort of understand what the operating budget each month is going to be. And you're like, okay, all right, I know what to expect there. And then there's all these other things that happen. And we are monetized on Rumble, which is good. And you can do super chats on Rumble. YouTube is just an awful platform to build upon. So is Meta, Instagram, Facebook. We use it the best we can, but they've deleted our pages. They've silenced us. They've suspended our accounts. They don't explain why, and they don't have a reason why. They just don't like that we're covering topics that they don't want people to hear about. Like U.S. aid was the topic that got our YouTube channel suspended for a week, and they stole our monetization years ago. But I mean, at a certain point, at the peak of YouTube usage, I mean, the New American Media was generating ad revenue that was like, all right, I see what we're doing here. If we do triple the amount of shows, we can do this full time. Like trying to build a career with advertising revenue share from Google, YouTube, AdSense. That was the plan for a while, and they just yanked the rug out from under you. And I haven't wanted to really work with another company, so I haven't pursued it. I did report from the Bronx last year with Real America's Voice. I would probably work with that organization under the right circumstances, I would imagine. That hasn't been an opportunity that I'm aware of yet, but I enjoyed my time reporting from the Bronx. That was great. I mean, I've been on Coast to Coast AM as a guest. That's, in a way, that's sort of my dream job, kind of. Maybe more so 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I was really living in Los Angeles and into that world, the Coast to Coast AM stuff. And I do hope to still have Tom Danheiser, their producer. He's had to reschedule, and he was going to come on and do an episode of the Agree to Disagree show. It's probably, well, whatever. But one of these days, hopefully we'll get him back on. But like I've done things. I mean, I've pitched television shows to BBC. I was on a game show with Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Alfonso Ribeiro. Yeah, I've produced countless documentaries, sports, and natural disasters, and historical events. We were at January 6th getting footage. Some of the best footage you'll see on January 6th was shot from our crew, myself and Blake Wally. Like, I'm as capable and I do 3-hour shows like it's nobody's business. There's not a radio show I couldn't be on or host or carry, a podcast I couldn't do, a guest I couldn't find some interesting conversation over the course of an hour or two. It's the world I'm supposed to be in. I'm not entirely certain if I should be teaming up with some of these companies or just building my own thing. And I guess, I don't know, I've just sort of done my own thing. Good or bad, I've done my own thing. I've recently reached out to a couple places, and maybe I'll reach out to some more, but it's unpacking the news is one of my favorite parts of the day. What I was getting at is being a bartender, and there's regulars that come on into the bar, and we'll talk about what's going on in the world of news. They say, oh, you're not supposed to talk about religion or politics at a bar. It's like, if you're talking to an adult, they can handle anything. Problem is, when people start drinking, they become less and less adult-like, and it's really next to impossible to engage a leftist into a civil conversation. There are some people out there. But it often devolves. But as the bartender, it's like, grab a chair, belly up, become one of the regulars, and we'll unpack the news together, as we're going to do today. So once again, those donation links, thank you to Patreon. We're at the New American Media on Patreon. Venmo at Brian Engelman, Cash App Brian Engelman, Fuzz Installment on PayPal. And please make sure you check out our TNAM documentary, Hurricane Helene, Help on the Way. It's on Rumble and YouTube on the New American Media channels. So let's talk about what's happening. Everybody, question of the day. However you're watching, type your name or your initials and tell me where you are watching from. This is a roll call. Please raise your hand, state your name and purpose. State your name and purpose. Purpose, please. Purpose. All right, here you go. Here's a trade offer. Getting ready for the NFL draft. The trade offer is thus. Elon will receive death threats, character assassination, terrorist attacks on his business, no salary, and an unlimited supply of MAGA hats. In return, he will receive a less corrupt government. Oh, we will receive. Okay. We receive a less corrupt and efficient government. Geez, I'm reading this wrong every time. We receive a less corrupt and more efficient government and my heart. You know, because he did that from my heart to y'all. Nope. That's it. He's literally killing millions of people. He moved his arm. Okay. You roll with that. You sound dumb. If he starts killing millions of people, we can talk, all right? Because I think our debt was going to kill millions of people. When we implode and go bankrupt, what happens to the world? What happens to everything in this country? It has to be dealt with. That's what the Tea Party was screaming 20 years ago. It wasn't just to be mean to Obama. It's because we're going, what the hell is this spending that's been happening since 9/11? What are you doing? What is this? And it's been pirates stealing from us, enriching their friends, funding their terror mobs, putting news organizations together to just parrot bullshit at you all day long, pushing their lies and their propaganda. That's what USAID is. That's why Google, YouTube took that video down. Because we found it. That's it. Who was just describing it as the coffin in the woods that the vampires are spawning from or something? I watched a video. It was kind of, I don't think it was Tucker. I don't recall what it was, but I think USAID was it. People thought that the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab, you know, he dressed like somebody out of like Dr. Evil. You're like, that guy's literally Dr. Evil. Was it really the World Economic Forum behind all of this stuff? Lying to you about everything significant? Running covert operation after covert operation to steal more of your money, to degrade your way of life, to devalue your time, to take the dollars you've earned and make them worth less until they're worthless? Like, that's what inflation is, and that's what this private banking cartel system that was thrown on us in 1913 with Woodrow Wilson, the Federal Reserve, the income tax, the ADL. Look at how much $1 backed in gold. Look at how much our currency has been devalued since 1913. So yeah, let's talk about where things are at in our country and how Elon is uniquely qualified to trim the fat and get things moving in the right direction. And y'all are just going after him as an extension of Trump because you can't stand losing, and you lost an election bigly. And when we figure out how to identify and prevent all of your voter fraud, you'll never win another election again. Not here, not anywhere. Same day voting, voter ID, only citizens. Do I really have to say this? Men shouldn't beat up women in sports. Do I really need to say this? I guess so, because the entire world's turned upside down. So I'd like to see a little bit more appreciation of what Elon's up to. You don't have to trust anybody completely. You're trusting him to run you trusted President Trump to take over after you called him an insurrectionist and a traitor. You lied about him. You tried to throw him in jail so you could Epstein him. You tried to take him out in Butler. You tried to take him out in Florida. You tried to take him out other places that most people aren't aware of. There were multiple other attempts that were significantly uncomfortably close to maybe having some form of success. I know that's a black and white issue. That's either not here or here, but they got closer than they should have. You're burning Teslas. Come on. We have to strip everything non-essential away and rebuild this government. 36 trillion in debt. The interest payments on this to these banksters. Haha, we got them. Well, haha. How about no? How about we're done here? We're not going to be your debt slave anymore. How about it? Are you ready to try a different strategy? Are you ready to admit maybe this strategy hasn't been fantastic? Well, I am. And I wish, look, seriously, Elon has received death threats, character assassination, terrorist attacks on his business, no salary, and an unlimited supply of MAGA hats. You get a less corrupt and more efficient government and his heart. Legacy media hates you, New York Times. What happens when you fight a deep state that doesn't exist? See, that's what they were saying in the New York Times in 2017. Well, what happens when Donald Trump fights a deep state that doesn't exist? Oh, he's so crazy. He's so crazy. Exactly. I mean, 9 days away from being exactly 7 years later, maybe? In Trump's second term now. It turns out the deep state is actually kind of awesome. All right, look, let me add one component here. Never bash somebody when they're doing the right thing. If you want to reward good behavior and things that you want to see more of, you have to be able to say, I appreciate that. Now, are they just contemptuously lying here? Or is it that maybe in 2017, New York Times wasn't even aware of what the deep state was? And now it turns out there is a deep state. But I guess they had to take that extra swing and say, no, it's actually kind of awesome. If this said, it turns out there actually was a deep state and Trump was right, then I would give him credit. But now they're trying to spin it a different way because they couldn't lie to you about it not existing. Now they're lying to you about it being kind of awesome. So I'll go back to my original thoughts. Lying legacy media hates you. Disconnect from them. Here's a nice meme. Hey, David, what's up? Let's check some comments here. Okay. There we go. All right. This is a nice meme I saw today. Sending lit memes after society collapses. Here is me. I am on my burrow. I'm on my burrow. And I have solar. And I have phone. I get meme. I power meme. I send meme. For fun down here, I said, follow TNAM on Donkey, DONKY, the new old school way to collect and gather and share apocalypse memes. Okay, don't look. There is no donkey. But it looks kind of funny. Yeah, maybe today will be more of a meme day and less of a hard news day, but we'll get into some stuff. So let's just get this story straight. Here's the meme. It goes, so you're telling me that everybody who was wrong about everything for the past 5 years, they think tariffs are bad. Okay. Okay. Maybe we shouldn't listen to those people. Here you go. The Dow Jones. The media ignored the dip from 21 to 22, 23, 24. But that dip there is where you panic. All these people are doing is trying to enrage everyone to hate Trump. If they were just being fair and honest, and you know what? It's not about Trump. It's not about Republicans, MAGA, Democrats. It's about fixing the problems. And I would say it's a problem that our goods are being tariffed by these other nations. And they get to send their stuff here and sell it for nothing without the same repercussion. It's an extra tax. It's an extra tax. Oh my gosh, I said it twice. I keep looking at double F. Tax. It's an extra tax. It's an extra tax. Tariffs are bad without a sewing kit. Memes are all about me. Oh, I just saw a joke. Somebody did that. Was it Brian Regan? Yes. It was about the giraffe. Specialized medicine. You got to go see the neck and neck doctor instead of the ear, nose, and throat. Or the throat and throat doctor. Everyone's talking about this, and this is the topic of today's show. Trump economy is booming per jobs report. Economy is tanking per Dow Jones. It's Schrödinger's economy right now. Is it falling apart or is it kicking ass? Job growth massively exceeding expectations. Other countries, not so much. We've recalibrated what we are as a nation. Relax, people. Relax. Things are going to fluctuate. They always have. The moves that are being made, there are a lot of good moves that are being made right now for the first time in a long time. So let's make some of these moves. And the goal of this whole tariff battle is to get them to stop putting tariffs on our shit. Stop. So yeah, 36 trillion in national debt had to be addressed by the adults. We'll get through this. Relax, peeps. Relax. Donald John Trump shared from the White House. Great jobs numbers. They said, sir, they're far better than expected. It's already working. Hang tough. We can't lose. That's your message from President Trump. Far better jobs numbers than expected. Look at this here. Here's your chart. Stay positive, people. Come on. You got your other friends pumping them full of bullshit right now. The projected jobs added in the March 2025 job report per Team Trump, 140,000. Actuality, kablamo. Okay, that's a weird chart. I don't like this chart. I think it's a little deceptive. Because you would say this is roughly it's gone up 3 times, right? What would be 3 times 140? That'd be 420. But it's actually 228. This jumps in at 100,000 jobs instead of being 75, 50, 25, and down here. So that jump isn't as drastic. I think it's I think the visual's a little deceiving. But look, you're almost double. Double 140 would be 280. It came in at 228 actual. That's crushing. And President Trump has been working to negotiate investment deal after investment deal after investment deal. And the point of these tariffs are, if you're going to sell your shit here, you're going to build a factory here, and you're going to employ our citizens. Or you can send it in with your slave labor, and we're going to tariff the shit out of it. Okay. We'll build a plant. And now maybe they just send all of those other cars to different markets. For the US market, they have to build infrastructure here where real middle-class jobs can exist. We've lost our manufacturing base, and it's disgusting. During COVID, if you learn nothing else, we were so dependent on everyone else. We're not making we need to be able to produce as much to everything as close to everything that we need. America should be able to produce the things that it needs. So if you don't have enough rare earth minerals, let's negotiate some deals. Try to work it into the Ukrainian peace deal. Maybe try to purchase Greenland or sign up and do a mineral rights deal partnership where it's not a state, but it's a territory. Maybe we get money from one thing and we pay off Denmark, or do something with Greenland, and maybe they vote for sovereignty, and then maybe they decide to join or something, or Panama Canal. Look, big moves are being made. And these are moves that are impacting the United States in a positive way. They're the things that should have been. And yeah, it's gonna cause the ground to fluctuate. It's gonna bubble up and things are gonna be weird for a little while. But for the first time in maybe our entire lives, it feels like there's some major movement toward common sense and pushing toward reestablishing what a federal government is supposed to be. Oh, I haven't had my second light on. Let's see what difference that makes. Okay, it does make a difference. All right, we'll go with that one. So anyway, President Trump is bringing manufacturing back to America, and he's bringing job creation back to America. Well, won't that raise the price of the product? How much slave labor are you okay with? How many fewer middle-class jobs are you okay with? There has never been a more top-heavy, the 0.1% that have things have way more as percentage than the rest of society ever has. At least in modern day economic data tracking. You could talk about Egyptians or Mayans and Atlanteans or Lemurians or Muans. I don't know. I don't know what's happening in ancient Mesopotamia. But in modern times, that COVID, that was a redistribution right up to the top. And it's harder and harder for people to get a piece of the pie. And something has to be recalibrated here. Something isn't working. That dollar bill that used to be able to have one person go to work and come home and provide food and cars and clothing and mortgage and property and investments and entertainment, and one person could stay home and raise the kids. This stuff has been flipped, turned upside down over the past 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years, 110 years, 112 years since 1913. And it's time that we reverse course. This isn't working. This isn't working on a number of levels. We all see it. We all understand it. And it's about time we try to do something about it. I don't want to be lied to about it. It's time to get to work. So for anyone like, oh, well, President Trump, he won, we can relax. It's like, no. He is not a savior. He's a tourniquet. He bought you some time. Go right now as fast as you can. Pedal to the metal. Just hold on to that wheel and with everything you have, try to save this country. Try to rebuild this country right now. I've never had a moment like this in my lifetime. I don't know that you have either. This isn't to say I'm thrilled with 100% of the decisions being made. Guess what? Remember, close your eyes and think. Were you happy? What percentage of Biden decisions made by other people usually were you happy with? North of 5%? I think 5% is generous. Yeah, I think 5% is generous. Maybe 1%, maybe 5%. You know, there's a couple of things. It's hard to get wrong. Some people will get a few things right. But yeah, take the 20 things I'm not happy that Trump's working on. I'm going to focus on some of the things that he is crushing and bringing manufacturing back and bringing jobs back. Actual American jobs given to actual Americans, not illegal alien invaders. We're on the right path here. So let's just stay the course. Emma Mitchum saying that the Supreme Court has sided with Trump 5-4. Who are the dumb for? Allowing him to freeze $65 million in DEI education grants. I mean, these are big wins for wasted money. Defeat Democrats account says, wow, President Trump is extending TikTok's deadline to sell by 75 days with a new executive order. Major U.S. companies like Amazon, Oracle, and Walmart are eyeing a potential buyout to keep it American. Keep your eyes peeled. Did you see the pro-lifer who was attacked for exposing Planned Parenthood? Yeah, we're all just kind of waiting to see if that other lady's in jail yet. Hey, here's a reminder, just something to keep in your mind as certain things start to become revealed, and I think it's going to be happening pretty fast now. The Cash, Bondi, Bongino. Now that they've had a week or two to kind of settle in and get some Christy Nome. Now that they've had a chance to get a lay of the land and figure out who's on their side and how to build up their operations. Keep your eyes peeled to see what starts happening in the entertainment world in particular.
But when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Man, I mean, you know, one of the things you're seeing, you went to a whole different place.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guy struggling with it.
And I'm just wondering if YouTube is going to flag this video because there's random generic quiet music playing in the background. I'm not even hearing the music. I'm just listening to the conversation. Patrick Bet David just kind of surprised here that he took it that direction.
You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men. We produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't...
Oh. Wow. I wish I could just rewind that 10 seconds. I loved the aggression is necessary, but was it 10,000 sperm per heartbeat? Because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that.
Trade that in, no matter what.
Hey, did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing, and have lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that shit because the man card means everything. But when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that...
Oh, man, that was wild what people had to do. I did escape Los Angeles. There was stuff everywhere out there. Hey, here's a conversation between DHS Secretary Mayorkas, a Blaze Media reporter named Julio Rosas, tracks him down and has a conversation with him. This is nice.
Yes.
Julio Rosas, Blaze Media.
Oh, pleasure.
How you doing?
Very fine. How are you?
I just wanted to ask you how it feels to see that the United States has a secure border now that President Trump is in office, as opposed to when you were Secretary of Homeland Security. Do you have any regret facilitating an open border, sir? Border crossings are down 95%.
Security announcement. Please maintain.
Do you regret allowing Tren de Aragua to gain a foothold in the United States, sir?
Unattended baggage is subject to search in section.
You don't have anything to say, sir, about your time as Homeland Security Secretary? Facilitating an open border?
Alejandro needs to face treason charges. We all know he was not working for the United States.
I mean, it was a big issue, sir. It's one of the reasons why President Trump won re-election. You don't have anything to say about it?
You got to ask better questions. You can tell that method's not working. It's like, Alejandro, in your words, tell us why we're wrong. Tell us what we're getting wrong about the border, what you did right. Come on, give us something in your own words. Don't let us frame it. You tell us what you think we need to know. Try a different tactic. It's all right. I mean, I try to critique. I try to punch up jokes. I try to tighten up things, and I like to think of new ways. When I did some crowd work, I didn't get some of the reactions I was looking for, but I realized it was because I wasn't asking the questions that would have elicited that. So it's sort of about the questions that you're asking. Anyway, good job. It is a big issue.
Do you have regret about losing track of facilitating and losing track of all those thousands of migrant children that are handed over to HHS?
Please move forward to next door. Please do not enter the corridor. Doors are closing. Please enter the door.
How does it feel that because of the Biden and Harris administration's policies, mass deportations actually gained the majority support? I mean, sir, Tren de Aragua didn't have a foothold in the United States before you guys came into office. It's a pretty big issue, right? So you're fine with how you guys handled the border?
I mean, good work. Getting questions from.
Yes.
It's just he was working for somebody else. He was not working for America. I demand that he's indicted. Pure treason. I mean, at the top of the list, Mayorkas should be indicted for treason, and he should face the penalties if found guilty through due process. Donald Trump here sends this out. These Houthis gathered for instructions on an attack. Oops, there will be no attack by these Houthis. They will never sink our ships again. Dude, is this real life? Look at this video. Here, let me change the aspect. I mean, you want very limited action from your military. But when you're getting attacked, you need to stop that from happening. And some people view tariffs to be attacks on the United States economy. Could you view it any other way? And if tariffs are okay for other nations to do, they're okay for us to do. Or if they're bad to do, which is why we shouldn't do them, then they should stop them. They should stop doing them, right? So think about this argument you're hearing, because there is a group in this country, the TDS, the Trump Derangement Syndrome people. Every single time any single thing is happening on Earth, they're going to give you the anti-Trump story. Is that 5%? Once again, we're back to that 5% number. So I'd say maybe 10, 15, 20% of Americans are suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. They've been subjected to brain damage inducing abusive mind control techniques from CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, ESPN, Disney, Netflix, year after year. Who did I leave out? Fox? Oh, when 2020 debates, and they tried to claim, they tried to push the fine people hoax on President Trump, just like Obama did the week of the election, pushing the fine people race hoax. The Obama doctrine is to push fake race hoaxes to make non-white people hate white people enough to get them in power. That's the level of demonic shit that we're dealing with here. And what we have been dealing with for the past 17 years or so. It's a continuation of a bad direction that we've been headed for a while. And now DEI is gone. Affirmative action is gone. U.S. aid is gone. So many of these NGO governmental money laundering scams to supporters of the Democrat Party, that funding mechanism that's driven us $36 trillion into debt, is gone. That funding mechanism turns off the water. If the water doesn't flow, figure it out. That's why the Democrats are enraged right now, because they found a way to keep a certain percentage of the country captive to them and their bullshit and their lies. If you're pushing the fine people hoax in the 2020 election, like Chris Wallace was, you're a piece of shit. If you're doing it as Joe Biden during the election, you're a piece of shit. If you're former President Barack Hussein Obama doing it the week of the 2024 election, you're a piece of shit. You're a race-baiting piece of shit. And it's been so destructive to the United States of America. It's not a pretend issue. This triggers deep trauma within people who get absolutely hung up on this stuff. Things that were done by people they're not mad at to people who they are not. There is a trauma-based strategy that's been employed by the Democrats that you don't hate enough. You don't. You don't hate it nearly enough. And so when you look at the enemies of America, these Houthis, they were pirates. They were messing with the ships that are going through. We're trying to open up trade everywhere, get control of the Panama Canal again, figure out what type of presence we're going to have in Greenland to control that swath of area, who comes in and who goes out. It needs to happen. And when these guys are getting in the way and they're messing with American ships, well, guess what? Well, it was only a couple percentage of the ships were American. 1% is too much. Don't mess with us. Kaboom. Were these the people responsible for all of these attacks? Oh, I don't know if it's responsible for all of them. But you don't want American ships to be sunk. And that's one of the few things you need a military for. When Jefferson took what we had and bumped it up so that we could address the Barbary pirates situation, very similar to the Houthis. Very similar. Yes, David saying that Alejandro Mayorkas is a Cuban communist. Bella's Chance. What's up, Bella's Chance? Mayorkas is high on my list. Bella's Chance, what is your name again? If you told me, I forgot. Mayorkas is high on my list of those I want to see indicted, need to see indicted. All right, let me follow up. Who else is on that list of people you want to see indicted, need to see indicted? I'll put one, Fauci. Who would you guys like to see indicted? Yeah, they're Houthi and the blown up fish. Yeah, Houthi. So Houthi's coming back. Carmelo Anthony's the name of that killer that stabbed the twin in the heart at the track thing. By the way, that story, I'm hearing it 3 or 4 different ways. I'm wondering who the aggressor was, and either way, you know. Take a knife to a fist fight, you take a gun to a knife fight. Was that a necessary reaction? Was any of that a proper escalation of violence? Like, what are you defending with your bodily autonomy to make that situation violent right then and there? Like, I don't think, you know, you have to be very careful defending your property. You can't go chasing people down. It's a whole thing. And I don't even fully understand how that works. Because if somebody's wronged you, harmed you, and you're trying to get them into the justice system, you have to go get that person or else they're going to get away with it. I don't know how that works. I hope I don't ever have to figure it out. Yeah, America was built on life, liberty, and property. So all these domestic terror attacks on these Tesla people, it needs to be treated as harshly as it should be. And if you're going to attack our boats, that's what's going to happen to you. So Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump, they are getting to work. Houthi and the blown up fish. Yeah, David, he definitely should see a military courtroom soon. It is a ton of mind control. Jimmy, what's up, Jimmy? Hey, if you stick around for a second, I'm going to show a video of our friend Jordan Maxwell. Jimmy watching on Facebook. There you go. Crossfire Hurricane. Yeah, man. If anyone's watching on Facebook, hit the thumbs up and the hearts button real quick. Shows engagement on the channel. Oh, I didn't share it with my other groups. I'll do that now. But yes, I'm going to have a video with Jordan Maxwell, someone who has been in this business for a long time, passed away somewhat recently. But Jimmy and I had a chance to sit down with him for a long time and chop it up. That was interesting. Conscious Life Expo. That was a wild time. Looks like the Rumble feed stopped. What's happening on the Rumble feed? Get that going again. Maybe it was something I did with the messages. Who knows? All right, let's go to more stories. British council is seeking to pass laws which imprison Christian preachers and people silently praying for others or even handing out religious leaflets. Christianity is being systematically erased from not just Christian Britain, but the entire West. Here you go.
At GBN Tonight with me, Martin Daubney. Now, the Labour-ran Rushmore Borough Council has sparked outrage by proposing a sweeping injunction that could see Christian street preachers imprisoned for up to 2 years. And if the injunction is breached, now over claims of causing offence or distress. Now, under the proposed terms, Christians will be banned from praying for individuals, handing out religious leaflets or Bibles by hand, and laying hands on people in prayer, even with their permission. Welcome back to GBN Tonight. At GBN Tonight with me, Martin Daubney. Now, the Labour-ran Rushmore Borough Council has sparked outrage by proposing a sweeping injunction that could see Christian street preachers imprisoned for up to 2 years.
Okay.
And if the injunction is breached, now over claims of causing offence.
Claims of causing offence.
Which is the offence? No, but you are still engaged in prayer.
You are still engaged in prayer. Being arrested for being engaged in prayer, people. Europe has fallen. I can't believe where we're at. I can't believe I'm living through this.
It is an offence.
I disagree.
Okay, then. So you would rather that you be arrested and taken.
And while we're listening to this Christian woman saying this guy saying she's going to be arrested for praying silently, Muslims are praying in the UK in public, all over the streets, no arrests.
Taken away, then stand outside the exclusion zone. Is that what you're saying?
Are those the only two alternatives?
Yes.
I don't think I'm doing part of I'm not protesting.
Which is the offence.
So that's where we're at, people. We just asked, will England defend their country from this invasion? And it's been people in power pushing policies. People in power pushing policies. Probably. Possibly. It's got to be. Apostrophe. Onomatopoeia. Jimmy saying that was Conscious Life Expo 2012. God, was it that long ago, Jimmy? No, it wasn't that long ago, was it? Shit, that was a good one. That was a great conversation we had. Fauci has affected me directly. He's higher up on my list. Fauci, yeah. Yeah, I will definitely blame Fauci for killing my mother at the beginning of COVID and for killing my brother at the end of COVID. His lab release in Wuhan, China. Remember we were banned from talking about that? Remember when we had to put things on screen, such as for countervailing views on health and elections? Go to cdc.gov and who.int, as well as visit cisa.gov/rumor control for countervailing views on anything health related, election related, COVID related. You know, the important shit that Google, YouTube, Meta, Instagram, Facebook won't let you fucking talk about. You know, that shit. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that Fauci impacted me directly. My mother had some underlying health issues, but she did her respiratory distress became something she could not withstand anymore. At the very beginning of COVID, the very beginning. It had been going on for a year or for a month or two, and it's kind of here, there. It's in little places. It is highly possible that that found her and took her out. You know, and there were underlying health concerns as well. But my brother, without underlying health concerns that I'm aware of, he was taken out by what Fauci released. And when I say Fauci released, Fauci funded the gain of function. They would tweak the names of what they called it. Oh, no, it's not racism. We're going to call it DEI. Oh, no, it's not racism. We're going to call it something else today. Oh, no, it's not gain of function. We're going to call it whatever. And they just rename it something else. But it's the same exact thing. Yeah, Fauci was the one that was funding this. And he was told to stop this shit because it was Frankenstein-like. It was something worrisome, troublesome. Something that could cause a concern, cause a big problem. And he did it anyway. Yeah, he needs to pay for it. He took half my family away. My name is Inigo Montoya. I want you to face indictments as well. Anthony Fauci. No, not Jordan Maxwell. Jordan Newell. Conscious Life 2012. So good. I can't believe we have prayer police. It is. It's prayer police. It's a policy of BS. Prayer police. Yeah, V for Vendetta. I encountered the hardest Bible verse. I don't think we were following the account. How about this one? Jeremiah 51 in the New International Version. Verse, what is this, 20? You are my war club, my weapon for battle. With you I shatter nations. With you I destroy kingdoms. Oops. There we go. You are my war club, my weapon for battle. With you I shatter nations. With you I destroy kingdoms. I haven't really appreciated how Christianity has been rebranded over the past couple decades. I haven't appreciated it very much. And whether it's a series of wimpy commercials in the Super Bowl or, you know, fixating on the puritanical nature of extreme conservatism and all the negative implications of those circumstances, you know, dwelling on these types of things. I think Christianity is more than people are giving it credit for. And I think there's a reason why it's under attack right now. And I think there's a reason why you have to push back if your nation's being invaded by military-aged men. There's a plan, and there's been chaos left in the there's been sorrow left in the wake of their plan, the Obama doctrine. And we finally we're on the right path now in some areas, and we're working on some other stuff, and that gives me a little bit of hope. Here's Jordan Maxwell, Jimmy. This is from 1993. I don't know the name of this or who these other people are off the top of my head, but you'll recognize this one guy coming up. If you don't know Jordan Maxwell, go on YouTube and go on the New American Media page and search for our conversations with Jordan Maxwell.
Your child, your wife, your mother.
You want to enslave your child, your wife, your mother.
There isn't anything that you ever had. There isn't anything that you own. There isn't any right.
But they have music in the background, so they might go ahead and take this. and file a copyright claim that I'll have to challenge and say, I am commenting on the words of this clip because it's prescient, having been predicted in 1993. So many of the problems we're experiencing right now in 2025. And by the way, if that generic background music does have an author, and it's not in fact just generic music that has a license and a non-exclusive use license for anybody to use, it shouldn't be flagged in the first place. But if you're not using music that's licensable or free for everybody to use, let's just call it that, why not just put a little banner over top? This is where you buy. If you like this song, buy it on iTunes. Click here to buy it on Spotify. Just use that as an opportunity for people that had no idea that music existed to make a purchase off it. If anything, all I'm doing is amplifying and sharing something that could lead to future sales for somebody. That's a free advertisement. That's not something I should be penalized for, especially since I don't give a shit about the music. I'm just trying to hear what these people are saying in their own words. But I'm telling you, this is the world I navigate as we try to crank out content every single day. And this is the behind the scenes stuff that takes up hours of my week that I don't want to bore you with too much. But as I'm starting to get into this video about them enslaving your whole family, I recognize there's music in the background. I go, well, shit, YouTube's going to say they don't like this content. Well, they don't like the content because we're not globalist hacks. We're not backward monsters. We're just trying to fix this country. We're just trying to raise the level of living for all of the United States citizens and trying to calm down some wars that are happening in Ukraine and the Middle East and soon to be the South China Sea, maybe. So, yeah, I got a lot on my mind, and I would prefer if my videos weren't silenced by Google, YouTube. Anyway, back to the content. Enough rambling. You get what I'm saying. It's so frustrating because my message is so hampered. This show should have been if the new American media hadn't been subjected to the level of censorship that we were, we would be in a very different place right now. And I resent that I've had to go through it. I resent that. I just resent it. But it's all right. I haven't shut up yet, have I? So let's hear what they're saying.
That you possess, that they're not planning on taking away. Sheeple. Your sheeple. And your children are going to be slaughtered if you go along with the program. It's time to wake the town and tell the sheeple. We are being led like sheep to the slaughter. What is the purpose? A new world order.
And that's what everything was called back in the day, New World Order. Even the WWF, the WWE precursor. The New World Order when Hulk Hogan went bad guy. Here we go.
The United States of America is controlled by this evil archy. They control the money system. They control the State Department. They control the presidency.
So they have a plan to give us a new age world global occultic religion. They're going to have been deceived so greatly that they'll actually think it's something good. In fact, the whole New Age movement, the New World Order crowd is telling people that the 666 mark of the beast is the most elite thing that could ever happen to them.
No cash. Cashless society. It's ready to go. Disease could be created. In essence, this is what he was saying.
We have new strains of virtually everything that's drug resistant or drug free.
I'm not worried about the old diseases. I'm worried about the ones that they create to bring down the population of the world. They simply want to exterminate them. But that they consider them to be useless eaters.
Words are very important to the
There he is, Jordan Maxwell, historian. Words are very important.
Illuminati. These things are manufactured purposely for a purpose. And so I'm saying that there is something organized and directed, and it's here in this country. Future shocker biochip. And this is what Anthony showed you earlier, a biochip. That's an injectable computer chip, an economic mark in the back of our right hands or in our foreheads.
You've got a choice. You can join in this fight, or you can die as a slave. You want to enslave your child?
Join the fight or die as a slave. Yeah, Jordan is a very intelligent human being. David, if you haven't done it, click on the New American Media YouTube. Maybe pull up a separate window so a second one can be open and search on the New American Media, Jordan Maxwell. We talked with him a couple of times. One of them, I think I need to run a conversation through like a noise filter. There's some good software that'll do that. Something about the boom mic wasn't functional when we thought we were recording a conversation a different way. And I think that was Jordan Maxwell, rest in peace, and Sean David Morton, rest in peace. I would love to clean that conversation up, actually. I need to make a note of that. I'm going to do that here. Clean up. Oh, here, let's just Maxwell and Sean David Morton. Yeah. Go on Fiverr, see if somebody could do that. If you want to get a glimpse into one of my new comedy sets, it's called Accidental X. Accidental X. That's going to be a set for me. It'll be about the time I may have accidentally taken ecstasy. All right. Yeah, Jordan is an intelligent human being. If you can find those video clips, check them out. They're very interesting. Jim says, I still remember vividly talking to Jordan for an hour at the Conscious Life Expo. It was amazing. I know. And it was because I'd met him I believe, yeah, I had already met him previously and done an interview with him. I think he sat down with me another time too. You chat with people when you find them, you know. To escape the spider's curse, recite a Bible verse. What is that from? Bella's chant saying Fauci caused so much misery to animals as well as to us humans. Those Beagle Fauci stories are demonic. Demonic. They had to remove the vocal cords of the beagles because the experimenters couldn't listen to the howling as they were eaten alive by flies. I mean, guys. It doesn't get worse than that. It's you cross into a territory where it's like everything in this room is off the table. Oh, hell no. And that's where Fauci's been for a very long time. He's caused so much misery. Jim says, yeah, the Conscious Life Expo, all because of your media passes. Thanks, brother. Also met a holistic practitioner that had his own vitamins he procured and had the most complex list of nutrients that I've ever seen. And he told me the story of his father, Dr. Privatera, who the FDA set up and raided his home. Oh, yeah. Countervailing views on health and elections. Go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control for countervailing views. The FDA set up and raided his home and practice for selling B17 apricot seed oil. California changed my life for the better in crazy, amazing ways. Wow. Yeah, what a wild ride. What city did you live in again, and how long were you there? Remind me on that part. Yeah, Jordan meant well. A New World odor. That's actually a good line. Fauci needs the Beagle treatment. Well, yeah, the Beagle stuff with Fauci, that guy, it is nightmare fuel. And so, no, forgive us if we're not going to just let this go. And here's a female disc golfer. She's not letting this go. She's at the Music City Open in Nashville, but they allowed a man to compete in the women's division, so she walks off the course.
Finally, make some noise for Abigail Wilson! Gabby!
Females must be protected in our division. This is unfair. I refuse to play.
Woo! Yeah!
Have a nice round, everyone.
We will. Definitely will.
Have a nice round. Wow, you hear that? Somebody just yelled, enjoy the couch.
Yeah, females must be protected in our division. This is unfair. I refuse to play. Let's multiply this energy. Multiply this energy. There we go. No more mediocre men competing against ladies, okay? Kevin Keeley talking about California here. Let me change the aspect ratio. So Breitbart News says California will lose millions of dollars in federal matching funds for the state's Medicaid program after podcaster Gavin Newsom missed a key deadline. Kevin Keeley says Gavin Newsom is destroying Medicaid in California. On top of bankrupting the program by giving full benefits to illegal aliens, he just missed a deadline for federal matching funds. California, why haven't you recalled this Newsom guy and put in somebody with talent? I will forever be a Californian, a partial Californian. Hey, here's a story I was unaware of. If you're on the way to a concert sometime or a sporting event or some sort of large gathering, just keep in mind that the police are too busy to deal with stuff like this, but you could find yourself in the middle of it. Check this out.
Watching a modern-day version of highway robbery.
The money.
An organized team of thieves.
I don't know where this is shared from. It's from Laser the Conservative. I don't know what video this might be from. But look, for part of TNAM preparedness, we want you to be aware of circumstances that you could encounter so that you can come up with a plan in case you got to keep yourself and your family safe. So check this one out.
On motorized scooters, swindling travelers in the middle of rush hour on the Dan Ryan Expressway.
We didn't see any police nearby, so that made us even more nervous.
We caught them demanding $40 in cash in order to pass.
They don't let you turn right unless you pay them the money.
It's kind of an extortion in a way.
Ryan Cawley and his wife Jackie were heading to a Chicago White Sox game when they were surrounded.
I just remember he went around to my side of the vehicle, and he was swearing at Ryan because Ryan had said no. And then at that point, he started swearing really loudly and then started kicking the car.
The scammers pretending to be official White Sox parking attendants.
They had the yellow vests on, and they had a fistful of cash, which gives them, the appearance that they're actually legit.
And they're on phones.
We were a little bit late. So it was like, the game's already started. The game's already started. Here, we need $40 cash. There's no spots left. If you want to get a spot, you got to give me the money now. Now. And I said, well, I don't have $40 in cash. And I thought, the sign says credit debit. I have my credit card. He's like, no, man, that's not how it works. You need $40 cash. This is the last spot left. This is it.
And when you told them, no, I'm not going to pay it, they got aggressive.
Yeah. And I think that was around the time when he went around to the back and just started kicking us to get out.
And we've heard from other fans who have had their cars blocked, kicked, or punched. One woman reported to a traffic aide she was spit on when she refused to pay.
Amazingly brazen, right? I mean, but these are scammers. They're just trying to take your money. They're trying to bully you, get you to stop and roll down a window and take your money.
They can be hard to catch. Watch as a state trooper cuts them off, and they take off the other way down the Dan Ryan.
And we got to make the punishment be there.
Yes, we do. We said honk the horn nonstop. Hazards on. Do not stop. Do not allow yourself to be boxed in and threatened. Flee blue cities. These are all tactics you might want to consider taking. Huntington Beach, Laguna Hills, 12 to 4 to 2104. Oh my gosh, you've been there for 98 years? 92 years? Why can't I do the math here? 89, 88? What is happening to me? Why can't my brain process? What is 2104 minus 2012? So to go to 2112 would be 100, but that's minus 8, so that's 92 years. Yeah, Chicago. I got in there, I got out of there. I had a wonderful time in Chicago. Really did. For the Democrat convention. But man, some of those areas are just super sketch. Was it? Is Chicago? The White Sox are the South Side, I think. Here's Atlas Society sharing this. Let's go through some of the numbers. Talk about it. What's the overlay? Here, let's go full screen so we can read it. There we are. Social. This is from Insurrection Barbie, shared by the Atlas Society. Social Security numbers issued to non-citizens went from 270,000 in 21, that's 2021, to 2.1 million in 2024. 5 million non-citizens now embedded in our federal system, and they're collecting benefits, draining taxpayer dollars, and most importantly, the voter rolls. That is why Biden opened the border and kept it open. That is why Democrats don't want DOGE anywhere near the federal government. They know if they ride this out, stop mass deportations, they can ensure they never lose another election. Treason charges incoming. Let's see. File treason charges button. We've noticed that by leaving a couple of these comments as we cover these stories, our mentions are through the roof now. Haven't really figured out how to crush some of these algorithms because they're so weighted against you, but I'll give it the good old college try. Yeah, let's go side by side here. Maybe. Okay, let's see if Liz Wheeler says this, so let's consider. Maybe, just maybe. Oh, I can switch the countervailing views. Here, I'll put up the one. I'll put donation links up. Liz Wheeler says, maybe, just maybe, you've been propagandized about tariffs by the same uniparty elitists who impose deadly open borders on you. If your reaction to tariffs is, oh no, it's basically a tax, stuff is going to get more expensive, then buckle up. Here's the truth about tariffs. At the onset of global free trade, we were told three things. Number one, trading with China, NAFTA, and globalization would promote democracy around the world. Number two, products would be cheaper. 3, life would be better. Well, the first thing sure didn't happen. The communist Chinese are as despotically authoritarian and inhumane as ever. And look at the EU crackdown on speech and our own government weaponized against us. Sheesh. Products did get cheaper, but at what cost? We were promised that our quality of life would be improved by cheap products, but did it? Nope. The opposite happened. In fact, millions of Americans lost their jobs. To be specific, between 2000 and 2017, 5.5 million American manufacturing jobs left our country. Man, that means millions of Americans, mostly men, were suddenly out of work. And what happened? What happens when the jobs are gone, when men want to provide for their families but can't, when men lose the dignity of work? As we soon found out, many of these men turned to drugs that are readily available in this country thanks to the free trade politicians who deliberately left our borders open and then turned a blind eye to the trafficking of deadly fentanyl across our border from the very countries, China, Mexico, Canada, we were supposed to benefit from trading with. Between 1999 and 2021, more than 640,000 Americans died from an opioid overdose. 640,000 Americans. You all know someone that's overdosed, right? Maybe from fentanyl, maybe from an opioid, maybe from... Everybody knows somebody, or many people. And why has it happened? Because entire communities, places like where Vice President J.D. Vance is from in Ohio, where those places were hollowed out as their manufacturing jobs were shipped overseas. And then the same countries who stole our jobs sent fentanyl across our borders to kill us. Tariffs not only stop impertinent countries from taking advantage of us, which is a big deal. Tariffs will stop the flow of fentanyl into our neighborhood, which is a moral imperative. If countries didn't stop, if they don't stop sending drugs, they get slapped with crushing tariffs. President Trump understands leverage and knows these tariffs will force such countries to crack down. That's what he's been doing. Is this thing on? And let's talk about cheap products. Is the trade, pun intended, worth it? Is a lead-poisoned purse from Shine for $2 worth surrendering our supply chains to foreign nations that hate us? Do you want to rely on China for antibiotics? That's exactly what I was saying earlier today. Do you think it's smart to rely on Taiwan for semiconductors? No. Think of the empty shelves in grocery stores during COVID. Remember that? Our supply chains are fragile. It's a national security threat to rely on foreign countries for things that our families need. Tariffs help bring back manufacturing and reliance to our own country, our own states, and our own communities. Other countries will cave. They have to. They rely on the American economy too much to refuse Trump, and they can't wait him out. He's president for 4 years. Trump is the perfect person to use the tariffs as the means to an end, an actual better quality of life, security, and prosperity for the American people that we were promised by the lying elitists that Trump is now reclaiming for you. In summary, I love tariffs. Stop freaking out. This is going to be awesome. And it's true. Liz says, I used to oppose tariffs. As some of you are pointing out, guess what? I also used to support the Iraq War and the legalization of marijuana. I was wrong. My opinions changed when my eyes opened to the reality that libertarianism is a farce. Without ordered liberty grounded in objective reality, our society fails. That applies to free trade and tariffs too. I once fell for the tariffs are a tax talking point. I express no contempt to those of you echoing that still. I'm inviting you to change your mind like I did, which is why I made the complete case for tariffs in my post, to explain my support in depth and encourage you to join me based on the facts. I'm just going to say, well said. And of course, if tariffs are bad, why do all the other countries apply them to us? It is going to take a little time for this to work its way out. And here's what we want to say and remind all the Democrats complaining about the stock market. They don't want to hear this. Let's talk about it. Shall we?
Distribution of equities across households. The top 10% of Americans own 88% of equities. 88% of the stock market. The next 40% owns 12% of the stock market. The bottom 50 has debt. They have credit card bills. They rent their homes. They have auto loans, and we've got to give them some relief. That I was struck by the statistic from last year.
That's the message right there. Just as a bystander, I'm like, wow, okay.
All right. Or that, I like the examples, and I was really struck by two different statistics last year. Summer of 2024, Americans took more European vacations than they had in history. Summer of 2024, more Americans were using food banks than they ever have in history. I went into two food banks near my hometown to ask, what's the story? And they said, it really takes, for a lot of people, it's a loss of dignity to walk in a food bank. Of course. But they were seeing a new phenomenon, that it wasn't their traditional clientele. It wasn't people who'd lost their homes. It wasn't people out on the street. These were working families who could no longer, $100 at the grocery store, that basket of groceries every week, they were missing 5, 6, 7 things, and they were coming to the food bank to top up.
That is the story that I heard in the Bronx when I was reporting with Real America's Voice at the Donald Trump rally shortly before he was aimed at in Butler, Pennsylvania, by the way. The people of the Bronx, I believe the statistic is 86% of the demographic of the people who live in the Bronx, they're Dominican and black. A lady told me the same thing. $100 at the bodega doesn't buy me half of what it used to. And they're giving our money to people that just got here, people that are coming across the border illegally. They're getting 4-star hotel treatment, and I can't even get groceries for the week. They hated the Obama doctrine of flooding New York with non-New Yorkers, with non-Americans. The people in the Bronx couldn't stand it. They want to fix their money, their economy, their local stores, their purchase power, their earning potential. And they just took it as a big middle finger, what was happening, what the Democrats were doing to them. And they're smart to think of it that way. They really were. But yeah, I mean, I specifically remember the bodega conversation. I can't get half of what I used to for the same $100 at the same store. That's how bad things have gone.
So that's not a great America. Record European vacation, record food banks. The distribution of equities across households, the top 10% of Americans own 88% of equities.
All right. That was
88% of the stock.
That was the doubling of that commentary. Yeah, there's stuff in the economy that needs to be fixed. Ignoring it's not going to make it happen. But here's the good news. America has woken up. Check this complete repudiation of the Democrat Party out.
Holy Toledo. Voters' views of the Democrats in Congress among all voters disapprove 68%. And look at the approved number, just 21%, even lower than the Democratic Party at large. This is the lowest on record for Democrats, according to Quinnipiac University polling. You think these numbers are bad? Let's go to this side of the screen. We'll look how Democratic voters feel. Get this. The plurality of Democratic voters disapprove of Democrats in Congress at 49%, and just 40% approve. Horrible, horrible, horrible.
And that's where I noticed there's a little bit of music in the background.
Oh my goodness gracious, you just can't get worse than these numbers.
You can't get worse than those numbers. 21% approval number. I still think that's too high a number. Actually, that's what I'll say here. 21% is too high an approval number for the Democrats. But, that's 8-2, 4-1, 3-1, 4-1. America is a common sense nation. Check this out. This is a nice message. If you're not a conspiracy theorist today, here's a message. This is the Carnivore Aurelius account.
Not a conspiracy theorist today, you haven't opened your eyes. Everyone who cares about health ultimately becomes a conspiracy theorist because you start asking why the there's seed oils and poison in every single thing we eat.
I don't want seed oils in anything, and it is so hard to find stuff without it. I just bought a bag of blueberries, and they were freeze dried or whatever, and I opened them up, and they're with sunflower oil. I'm like, damn it. I didn't want that.
Then you start to experience that everything demonized, steak, eggs, butter, sunlight, gives you the most health and vitality. How could you ever trust the mainstream after this?
Let me tell you, if you are not a conspiracy theorist by now, it's because you are not intelligent. I am not kidding.
If you're not a conspiracy theorist...
I mean, right? Who's with me? Who's with me? All right, please follow us in all of the places. Let me switch over to X and we'll do a lightning round here to figure out what is happening in the world of X. Make sure you're following us at American_media_. Let's jump into the news. Please make sure you watch our documentary, Hurricane Helene, Help on the Way, when we went down with Grizzly from Southern Virginia into Tennessee and into Western North Carolina to tour the wreckage and talk to some people about what was going on in the Hurricane Helene aftermath. It was bad, and it's been bad, and they're doing now what it took way too long to get doing. Like, they should have been able to mobilize immediately, and everything was stalled, confused, poorly planned, poorly coordinated, and it was crowd driven. It was very disorganized. We need to expect more from FEMA, but watch our documentary and please share it on Rumble or YouTube. Elon, he's just reminding us, Doge designer says, whatever's happening today, from the Tesla violence funded by the left to the media's dirty campaigns, Elon Musk predicted it all 3 years ago. Elon said in the past, I voted Democrat because they were mostly the kindness party, but they have become the party of division and hate, so I can no longer support them and will vote Republican. Now watch their dirty tricks campaign against me unfold. Like clockwork, 3 years ago. Now you're watching it. Jaguar Land Rover is halting U.S. shipments in response to Donald Trump's new 25% tariff on imported cars and light trucks. She said, this Pamela Hensley says, anybody I've seen driving a Land Rover looks very pompous, so I don't care. That was just funny. That cracked me up. Mario Knopfel is talking about it here. UK-based automaker owned by India's Tata Motors exports nearly a quarter of its 400,000 annual vehicle sales to the U.S., about 100,000 of them, including Range Rovers and Defenders. The move heightens fears across Britain's auto industry, which employs 200,000 and counts the U.S. as its second largest export market. So what's going to happen is that we're going to get the tariffs that the UK is putting on our content, our vehicles, to go away, so we take ours away. Is it making sense yet? It should have always made sense. Trump slaps a 25% tariff on auto imports. And GM responds by cranking up truck production in Indiana. Here's an article on why tariffs will not stop the greatest bull market of all time. Well, maybe, maybe not. Charlie Kirk wants you to watch how tariffs are brilliantly explained here in 18 minutes. Watch every second of this. It's 18 minutes, so I'm not going to play it, but you can. So please do. Let's listen. Well, Rachel Maddow. Amuse is reporting terror. Soros-funded Indivisible is openly admitting that they are behind the 1,300 paid protests happening in all 50 states. Democrat billionaires are funding these uprisings, and they should be held legally accountable for the violence and vandalism. And Elon says they will be. They will be. Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies has been fined $75,000 by the NBA for repeated finger gun gestures. Too harsh? Is it fair? What do you think about being fined for finger guns? Yes, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a pattern recognition expert. It's all in how you choose to define it, right? Former Goldman Sachs CEO Lloyd Blankfein says President Trump should delay the reciprocal tariffs on select nations while keeping the baseline 10% tariff on all nations. People are going to have opinions. But, yeah, capitalism to socialism. Leaping Larry goes, yeah, you can compare South Korea to North Korea using photos, too. And by the way, showing disgusting Democrat-run hellholes, that's not the flex that you think it is, because these places have been run into the ground by socialists, communists, Marxists, Leninists, idiots, globalists. There's that video the Houthis gathered for instructions on an attack. Oops, there will be no attack by these Houthis. They will never sink our ships again. That's our military in action. This guy talks about civil society in the EU, but it's the same here. I call civil society the shadow government, made up mainly of NGOs, nonprofits, many of which we the people have been funding through U.S. aid. The researcher says here, civil society needs to be dismantled so that we the people once again run our country, not the democracy dictators. Anna Paulina Luna getting into it with Speaker Johnson, saying, why did you proxy vote while you were taking a vacation? Because now Trump and Speaker Johnson are anti-work from home, and I'm pro-work from home. I don't want to drive to an office. Why? So I can go into my office quietly and do the same thing I'm going to be doing here? Making phone calls? So I don't know. I disagree with what they're doing on the tariffs. Excuse me, on the work from home. I don't think it's a necessary fight that needs to be fought. I think there are phantom jobs and people that might not be working, but there's ways to quantify production and output and energy and organization and strategy. And it's not just brute force DDoS attack. You know, you can auto dial 1 million people. It's not just as simple as taking more dart throws at the board. You got to kind of have a game plan and some strategy, and you have to have some coordination and skill to actually hit what you're aiming at, not just throw it 100 times in the wrong spots. Strategy. There's a lot of jobs that people can work from home, so I don't really like how we've ended up in that that situation, but it is what it is. All right, people, it's Saturday. Let's get out. Let's have a great day. If there's any, real quick before I go, is there any story you wanted me to address that I haven't brought up today? And let me just make sure I've scrolled trending stories here. Warren Social Security claim. Elizabeth Warren claimed Trump and Musk are taking actions that'll make it difficult for seniors to access Social Security benefits. Like, that's not remotely a thing. How dare she? She is one of the worst. And she always has been. All right. Yeah, that's what I think too. They were just trying to see who was actually working. Of course, send me an email from your email. Does it work? By the way, I don't know what you're doing in these departments. Can you tell me 5 things you worked on this week? Yeah, all right. I mean, wouldn't you want to be helpful in that scenario? Like, hey, my name's Brian. Last week, I sent this contract out. We got these 2 leads promoted from lukewarm to piping hot. They're in the pipeline. And we got a follow-up, one in April, one in May with these 2. Lost the contact here. I've been trying for a couple months to get a hold of the right person. Now I have the email. I sent the email, and then the plan is to follow up on Monday with these 2, but like, we're going to try to restore one of our top accounts. Okay. And that's actually what I did. I would send those weekly reports to the people I reported to. Various sales jobs. You know, I can rock a CRM. I enjoy it. I just need to be in the right industry, and I want to find some residual, you know, some nice steady stuff. I've really poured a lot of me into me over the past year and a half, past 2 years. It's time to recalibrate how this is all happening. But that being said, yeah, just trying to figure out who's working. I used to send those emails. Like, I suggested sending those emails. I'm like, I don't think you know what I'm working on. Can I send you, like, here are the top 5 highest profile accounts that I was working on this week and the results and when they're getting close to becoming clients. Hey, here's a highlight. Look how close we are on these several things. I mean, what more could you ask for? So I don't like the work from home pushback. But yeah, there were probably a lot of jobs that were just going to fake Social Security accounts and just getting cashed somehow, and who knows how. And I mean, it's just been it's been a very vulnerable system that's been exploited over the years. That's for damn sure. Thank you, David. Thank you again for your time as well. Thank you, Kenneth and Jim Roland. Jimmy, yeah, time to get out and start playing some tennis, right? The weather's right for it. I loved playing tennis. That was awesome. That was so fun. If we could just go back, right? Anyway, thank you for joining us on today's episode of the TNAM AM Show, a division of the Agree to Disagree show. Sign up for our podcast. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. Maybe watch one of our older videos and let it play in the background. Trying to boost our numbers over there with the podcast, the Agree to Disagree show, with all the TNAM AM shows. We are on TNAM chat and TNAM and TNAM chat on Signal and Telegram. So link up with us there. And then all the other places that we are, the New American Media. Just search the New American Media on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube. We're on all of those accounts under the New American Media. Try to sign up with us on as many of them as you can, because YouTube silenced us, Facebook silenced us, Instagram silenced us. And we just can't trust that these things are going to be around. We'll keep talking, but we just might have to be heard in a different spot. And finally, once again, if anyone wants to sign up on Patreon, we're patreon.com/the New American Media. If anyone wants to buy a cup of coffee, it is Venmo at Brian Engelman, Cash App, $ Brian Engelman, PayPal at Fuzz Installment. Everybody, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Let's. I don't know how the weather is where you're at. The weather's been quite hectic where I've been. It's been rainy. It's been turbulent. It's been downright dangerous. But hey, spring is here. April showers bring May flowers, we've heard. Let's get out. Try to grow some food. Try to grow something if you have the opportunity to. Kenneth was working on his fluorescent tan. Nice. I know. I'm working on my ring light tan. I put up the new green screen so like you can barely see around that I guess if I do this depth of field, it looks neo-ish. But from back here, it's pretty sharp resolution, I think. I probably could adjust these lights. Yeah, I'm working on a ring light tan at the moment. I'm going to come out looking weird. All right. Get out this weekend and try to work on your ability to grow some food, catch some rainwater, filter some water. Look at your house where you live a little differently. And if you don't have some of these things in place, put them in place. Get an adapter kit for your downspout. You don't have a rain barrel, you can put it into something else. And a way to filter that, and a way to grow some food this year. I need to get on that this weekend and get that going. So take the time this weekend to prioritize a little bit of the important things. And I'll be back Monday. I'm like Chick-fil-A. I close on Sundays. All right. I appreciate you. I love you. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everyone.